The Joseph warning guarantees one thing: total exposure leads to total loss. You clicked this because you sense that your visibility has become a liability, and you are right to be concerned. In the next few minutes, we are going to secure your perimeter by identifying the 3 specific assets you must hide to protect your future from the devastation of envy. Stay with me, because at the end of this briefing, we will seal these defenses with a prayer of protection that you cannot afford to miss. Generals do not announce their battle plans to the enemy, yet you are announcing your blessings to a world that is weaponized against your success. We need to analyze the tactical failure of Joseph in Genesis chapter 37. This is not just a Sunday school story. It is a military briefing on the high cost of a loose tongue. Joseph received a divine strategy, a dream of future dominion where his sheaf stood upright and the sheaves of his brothers bowed down. The intel was good. The source was the Lord. But Joseph made a critical error in counterintelligence. He broadcasted classified information to a hostile audience. Genesis chapter 37 verse 5 records the casualty report. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. Note the sequence. Revelation followed by immediate publication leads to immediate retaliation. You often think your family and friends will applaud your promotion, but the human heart is a battlefield of insecurities. When you display your potential, you trigger their inadequacy. The ancient desert fathers, men who mastered the art of spiritual warfare in silence, called this the spirit of envy, or the evil eye. It is an optical weapon. What the eye sees, the heart covets, and the hand moves to destroy. Stop and assess your current position. Who knows your next move? Joseph invited an attack because he did not value the strategic advantage of obscurity. He thought he was sharing joy. He was actually painting a target on his back. The pit he was thrown into was dug by his own words. You must understand that silence is not just modesty. It is a shield. When you speak of your financial goals, your new business, or your investment returns before they are solidified, you are handing ammunition to the opposition. You are letting the enemy calculate the exact force needed to stop you. Consider the layout of your life right now. Are you operating in the open field, or are you fortified? The war for your wealth is not fought with swords, but with information. Every time you post a win, every time you flash a purchase, you are leaking intelligence. The general who wants to win the campaign does not parade his troops until the victory is secured. You need to learn the discipline of the dark. You need to become comfortable being underestimated. It creates a strange joy, doesn't it? Knowing you have a heavy artillery of resources that no one suspects. That is the position of power. Before we advance to the next sector of this operation, I want to know who is standing on the line with me today. In the comments, tell me the city or nation you are watching from. Declare your location so we can see where the army of wisdom is rising. Now we turn our attention to the catastrophe of King Hezekiah. If Joseph teaches us the danger of sharing the promise, Hezekiah teaches us the fatality of showing the prophet. We find this after-action report in 2 Kings chapter 20. Hezekiah had just won a massive victory. He had been healed of a terminal illness. He was on top of the world. Then, envoys from Babylon arrived. These were spies disguised as diplomats. And what did Hezekiah do? He dropped his guard. Scripture says in 2 Kings chapter 20 verse 13 that Hezekiah hearkened unto them and showed them all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold, and the spices and the precious ointment. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. He showed them the treasure. He revealed the reserves. He wanted to impress them, but he only incentivized them. Hezekiah failed to apply the mental model of inversion. Charlie Munger, the modern strategist, famously taught to invert, always invert. Instead of asking how to impress the envoys, Hezekiah should have asked, "What action guarantees the destruction of my kingdom?" The answer was showing them the gold. Hezekiah put his wealth in the window. The result was inevitable. The prophet Isaiah came to him with the sentence of judgment. Because the Babylonians saw it, they would return to take it. And they did. Do not mistake admiration for loyalty. When you flash your lifestyle, you are not building a reputation. You are issuing an invitation to plunderers. Solomon, the commander of wisdom, operated differently. He possessed more gold than any king on earth, yet his approach was one of structured access. The Queen of Sheba had to travel, wait, and be granted audience to see the glory. It was not displayed on the street corner. Solomon understood that familiarity breeds contempt, but mystery breeds respect. You might be thinking, surely I can share my blessings with my friends? Beware. The friend who celebrates your $100 win may resent your $100,000 victory. The dynamic changes when the stakes escalate. The jealousy of a stranger is a nuisance, but the jealousy of a friend is a knife in the ribs. You must adopt the protocol of the hidden treasury. If you are receiving this intel and you want to lock in these principles, strike the like button now. It signals that you are ready to secure your perimeter. We have established the threat. Now we must define the doctrine of defense. This is what we call stealth wealth. It is the art of flying under the radar. It is the tactical decision to appear less than you are, to own more than you show, and to keep your reserves out of sight. The theologian John Calvin, in his Institutes, spoke of the doctrine of stewardship. He argued that we are guardians of God's gifts, not owners entitled to boast. When you treat your wealth as a sacred trust from God, privacy becomes a natural consequence, not just a preference. Here is the first specific asset you must immediately classify as top secret: your true net worth. This is the liquidity trap. In a world obsessed with rankings and status, the temptation is to prove you are doing well. Resist it. St. John Chrysostom, one of the greatest voices of the early church, warned that the desire for praise is a wind that destroys the harvest. He taught that virtue displayed is virtue evaporated. The same physics apply to your money. If people know exactly what you are worth, you become a bank, not a brother. When your liquidity is visible, you attract parasites. Distant relatives suddenly have emergencies. Great investment opportunities are pitched to you by people who have never built anything. You become the path of least resistance for everyone else's financial failures. You must cultivate a fog of war around your finances. Look poor, be rich. Drive a reliable car, not a loud one. Wear quality, not logos. The goal is to be unburdened by the expectations of others. The Desert Fathers fled to the wilderness not just to escape sin, but to escape the performance of society. They understood that to hear God, you must mute the applause of men. Apply this to your ledger. Your bank account is a conversation between you and God. No one else needs the login. When you keep your number secret, you maintain the freedom to give when the Spirit leads, rather than when the guilt trip arrives. You regain tactical control. The second asset you must keep under heavy guard is your next strategic move. We touched on this with Joseph, but we need to go deeper. This is about the element of surprise. General Sun Tzu taught that all warfare is based on deception. You must never let your opponent know where you will strike until the blow has landed. In your career or business, Your opponent is the market, the competition, or even the skepticism of your own circle. Blaise Pascal, the mathematician and philosopher, wrote about the strategy of silence. He noted that the heart has reasons that reason does not know, but he also understood that silence conserves energy. When you talk about a project, your brain releases dopamine. You get the chemical reward of success without having done the work. You feel like you have achieved it, so you lose the hunger to execute. Silence keeps you hungry. Silence keeps the pressure in the pipe until it drives the piston. If you are launching a business, build it in the dark. Launch it when it is finished. If you are buying a house, sign the deed before you post the picture. The third asset to keep secret is your vulnerable income sources. This is your supply line. In war, if the enemy cuts your supply line, the army starves. Do not reveal the exact mechanisms of your cash flow to people who do not have the clearance to understand them. If you have a side hustle, a unique contract, or a passive income stream, protect that information. Competition is fierce. If you explain exactly how you fish, someone will come and drain your pond. There is a witness from the 2nd century, Tertullian, who spoke of the discipline of the secret. In the early church, the deepest truths were kept from outsiders until they were fully committed. Why? Because you do not cast pearls before swine. You do not explain the intricacies of your blessing to those who will only trample them. Protect the source. Let them see the fruit, but hide the root. This brings us to the final perimeter check. Why is this so hard for us? Why do we burn to tell people what we have and what we do? C.S. Lewis, a modern defender of the faith, identified the root cause in his chapter on the great sin. He called it pride. But not just pride in the sense of arrogance. He defined it as competitive. We do not just want to be rich. We want to be richer than the next man. We do not just want to be smart. We want to be smarter than our brother. This competitive urge is the breach in the wall. It is the weakness that the enemy exploits. When you speak to impress, you are worshiping the idol of self. You are Hezekiah showing the gold. You are Joseph bragging about the sheaves. You must kill this urge before it kills your legacy. The Solomon decree for us today is a mandate of protective silence. It is the wisdom to know that God rewards what is done in secret. I want you to prepare your heart now. We are going to go to the Commander-in-Chief. We are going to ask for the discipline to hold our tongues and the strength to hide our treasures. This is not a passive request. This is an active alignment with the laws of heaven. Close your eyes if you can, or align your thoughts with mine now. Let us approach the throne. Father, we come before you, acknowledging that we have often been foolish with your blessings. We have spoken when we should have been silent. We have sought the applause of men rather than the approval of heaven. Lord, forgive us for the pride that seeks to display what you gave us to steward. I pray for every person listening right now. Grant them the spirit of discretion. Place a guard over their mouths and a seal over their plans. Hide them in the shadow of your hand. Protect their resources from the evil eye of envy and the schemes of the devourer. Give them the wisdom of the serpent and the innocence of the dove. Let them build in silence so they may shout in victory. We declare a hedge of protection around their homes, their accounts, and their futures.